Hey, what's up everyone? This is BikoTheAnimator or DunamisOphisGameplay. Today I will be talking about the layoffs at Epic Games. I don't know if you've heard, maybe you have heard. But yes, they have laid off 1,000 employees. No, I was not one of the employees. So I'll read a little bit here what it says on the website. My computer's in front of me right now. You know, today we're laying off over 1,000 Epic employees. I'm sorry, we're here again. The downturn in Fortnite engagement that started in 2025 means we're spending significantly more than we're making, and we have to make major cuts to keep the company funded. This layoff, together with over 500 million of identified cost savings and contracting, marketing, and closing some open roles, put us in a more stable place. So there you go. More layoffs. The layoffs are everywhere right now. That's just how the, that's how it is right now. It's very bad. Honestly, anything in animation, games, film, or technology industries right now, they are not good fields to be in unless you're learning AI. I'll get to that later. So, I have an entire list here. Of some topics that I sort of want to talk about. Some things will be short, some things will be a little long here. Next subject here, I know this made some people upset, but apparently, and again, I'm going to put up images and videos as I speak here, just in the background or over on top of me. But a terminally ill patient was one of the employees who were laid off, and I guess that made a lot of people upset. You know, and I was not aware about that until I logged into LinkedIn like 2 or 3 days ago, and I saw that. But this is how, you know, the big corporations are now. Like, these companies don't care about your health or well-being or, you know, what you're going through or anything like that. You know, everyone's heard about the layoffs. Big companies like Amazon, FedEx, everywhere. I mean, this civilization, this society has been designed, you know, with the purpose of using money, green pieces of paper that are now becoming digital. So, green pieces of paper that you have to earn just to survive on this miserable planet. So, and it's like, well, how do you earn it? Well, you have to work a job. But no one has jobs anymore. Everyone's getting laid off. So, none of it makes sense anymore. So now I'm going to give a little short background of who I am. I'm Biko. So, not Biko. I get the Biko a lot. But other my game name, blah, 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 DunamisOphis. Anyway, a little short background. I'm a 90s kid, you know. I grew up watching, my first video games were, there was a duck hunting game. We had to aim with the gun. It was a duck hunting game on the original Nintendo. Between that and the original Mario on the original Nintendo. That was my first game. And then the second games after would have been like Sonic the Hedgehog on Sega Genesis. That's how long I've been playing games. So, been playing video games since back then. You know, during analog TV. Man, it was much better back then, before social media and all the internet and the smartphones. Like, you know, it was like a little forest in the neighborhood. It was like right across from my street. You know, kids would be riding bicycles outside, rollerblading, using water guns, like whatever, playing tag, flying kites, doing whatever in the street. And then I would explore in the little forest across the street. Wasn't safe, but it wasn't that big either. And then across the field, there was like a recreation center. And the whole neighborhood would go out there in the summer, man. And there's a swimming pool. You know, there was a playground on the inside. There's a basketball court and everything. And then after everyone played outside, man, that was during the days of the legendary anime days. When anime was booming, you know, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Pokemon, you know, Digimon, Gundam Wing, G Gundam, Tenchi Muyo, Yu Yu Hakusho, Cyberboy 009. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. You grew up with it. You know what I'm talking about. So after playing outside, go inside, order some pizza, watch those anime shows, some other cartoon shows, you know, Disney, Nickelodeon, whatever. Also, that was during the time of, other than Nintendo and Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, you know, Nintendo 64 came along, you know, late 90s, and that was it, man. Like, I still have Star Fox on Nintendo 64. I still have GoldenEye somewhere in there on my Nintendo 64. The same Nintendo 64 works well today. I just have to dust it off a little, but works better than my Dreamcast. My Dreamcast, I have like a second one, so Dreamcast wasn't that good. But yeah, those are the days, man. So that's a little background. You know, I grew up with games. I grew up with anime. Dragon Ball Z is still my favorite anime of all time. Another thing is that I'm sort of looking at my notes here. You know, I am a naturally fast runner. So I'm going to talk about how I got into animation here. Why did I mention I'm a naturally fast runner? And maybe I might put some videos up here of me running, some videos I recorded years ago. I don't have many, but yes, I'm a naturally fast runner. That's probably the natural skill that I was born with. Unfortunately, I went to a small school, Dove Science Academy. I hated that school. Went to a small school that did not have sports. I had no choice, you know. That's the school I went to. It's a fake private school. Ghetto trash school, I'll put it that way. But I went there were no sports. I was the fastest guy, at least top 3 fastest guy at my school. Everyone knew it. Maybe someone from this, who went to the school at the time that I did, maybe they'll see this video. Maybe they'll see it, comment down below, and they'll confirm it. But, actually someone at, I think, Robert, recent, I didn't know he sent a message that said 4 years ago on my BikoTheAnimator channel. But yeah, also, this video will be on my BikoTheAnimator channel and my DunamisOphisGameplay channel. And I'll get into reasons why I don't even upload on BikoTheAnimator channel anymore. I'll get into that reason in a second here. But yeah, I'm a naturally fast runner. Now, in 2006, 2007, I did go to a school. That was when I moved, you know, to miserable Texas. So, I went to a school called Boyd High School. And I was one of the first students there. I was in 11th grade. That was when, like, Bleach started airing on TV. So, like, the first season of Bleach. You know, one day at the school, and it's a large school, like a mall to me. Coming from a small school, like a huge mall on the inside. And these kids were all used to it. I was like, holy crap. They had like Subway and restaurants on the inside. That was like new for me for a large school. I only went there that one year, 2006, 2007. One day, they called me to the principal's office because they noticed in gym class that I could run fast. They invited me to be on the track team. I did that. After my first day of track practice, walked home, caught pneumonia. I was in the hospital for 3 days. The season was over, and then I had to move back to the other state and the school that I hated to finish getting my high school diploma because I didn't, you know, there was trouble with, they had some, I can't remember what it's called, the STAR test. I can't remember what it was called, that they made high school students in Texas take. It was some test. Anyway, I had to go back to that school and get my high school diploma. But yeah, so my chances there, you know, were over. And so I had to think, what am I going to do after I graduate, right? I was watching lots of CSI at the time. I was a huge fan of CSI Las Vegas. At some point, I just started watching it every day. I was trying to decide if I want to go into forensic science, become a crime scene investigator. You know, since running in the track and field was, you know, wasn't an option. I was trying to decide. And then I was also watching a channel at the time called G4TV. For those who don't know, like Olivia Munn, you know, she's an actress now. She's an actor, but she used to be host on, like, it was a show called The Attack of the Show, for those who remember. It was on G4TV. I think she was on Attack of the Show. I forget the name of the other one. Anyway, at the end of that show, actually, they used to show tournaments for Star Wars and Knights of the Old, I think it was Knights of the Old Republic, the lightsaber game. And they used to have tournaments, like tournaments on there at the end of their show. They were like be people playing LAN games in there. I used to watch that. And they would always show Unreal Tournament 2004. That was the biggest tournament game for money that they had, was Unreal Tournament 2004. They weren't playing Quake. They're playing Unreal Tournament 2004, which I'm going to get into later. That's an Epic Games video game. But yeah, I mean, and there was a commercial. There was a commercial called Collin College. You know, come to Collin College, become a video game designer. It was based in Phoenix, Arizona, not where I am now. But there just happened to be a, you know, a college, a community college called Collin County Community College. There's happened to be a college that had an animation program, and they're called Collin themselves. So that's what happened. Fall 2008, that's when I started 2008, started college. It's also when I was first diagnosed with high blood pressure, yes, as soon as I graduated high school. But anyway, I went there from fall 2008, graduated with my associates in 2012. It was in animation and games. But I went another 2 years to like 2014 because I wanted to get more out of some of the classes. And then I transferred to Ford University, University of Texas at Dallas. That was in the Arts, Technology, and Emerging Communication program. Students called it ATEC, still call it ATEC. They try to change the name now to Harry Bass Jr., but still called ATEC. But I transferred there. And unfortunately, when I transferred there, you know, a lot of my credits didn't transfer. So it was almost like me starting over. So I had already gone 6 years at the community college. So when I transferred, it felt like I was starting over with almost a different generation. Somewhat, it was kind of weird. I mean, I was in classes with students who didn't grow up with the first generation Pokemon like I did. They couldn't sing the first, you know, the Pokemon theme song if they wanted to, whereas I could. You know, as an example, they didn't grow up watching Dragon Ball Z. They grew up with Naruto. That show I don't like. But yeah, and then I graduated. You know, I went to the program. I graduated with my bachelor's, basically bachelor's of arts. But it's Arts, Technology, and Emerging Communication. Graduated with my bachelor's in December 2018. So that's sort of my general like education right there. Now again, when I was a kid, in terms of physical activity, me being athletic, I think I played softball when I was a kid. I played soccer, like that was when I was in elementary. At one point, I feel like I was in gymnastics, but I don't remember. I think when I was in, you know, my memory on elementary is bad. Just some situations happened. But I think for the 5th grade, I was at a track and field event. I was running. I think I remember the fastest guy on the team. He went last. His name was Desmond. He was the one guy that was faster than me. I think it was Desmond was his name. I think, man, it was a long time ago. He was the one guy that was faster than me in elementary. But after that, that's when I went to that middle school and high school, Dove. Terrible place that I didn't like, that didn't have sports. And then things just sort of went downhill from there on that. But anyway, that's sort of my general education right there. And now I'm going to talk about some sort of job experiences here. So there's just one extra little thing I forgot to add here. So about approximately 2 weeks ago, I had an Uber driver. I think he was like ex-military, Air Force thing. And I noticed on his license plate, and I asked him. Anyway, he told me that he had a son that is not too far away from me out here. And he said his son wanted to animation and everything. And then he started talking about the same school that I went to. And as soon as he started saying that his son got a degree in, you know, arts, technology, and I finished the sentence, I said arts, technology, and emerging communication. So, yes, his son, I think, graduated 2025. He has the same degree as I do. And I guess he was struggling to find jobs. But I guess the guy, his father told me that now You know, he's working, doing some type of video production for companies, but he's not exactly, you know, working at some big animation studio companies, but he's doing something with some film company, but there's not much out here, so he's doing his own thing apparently. So he's making it work for now, I guess, until he can find something that's actually animation related. Just wanted to put that out there. So yeah, like I said, I went to A-Tech, went to college for it. So what happened after that? Well, after I graduated in December 2018, in March and April of 2019, let's say a recruiter contacted me from a company called Brazen Animation. Some of you may know Brazen, some of you may not. I worked at a company called Brazen Animation. I might show some videos and I might show my demo reel and things like that as I'm talking here. Just giving myself a reminder. I might show some of that. I worked at Brazen. That was a 1-month contract. That one was for, I think that was the unannounced game that the person never developed or finished. But it was cool. It was my first experience outside of college. Now, and I was applying to places over the years, but then near the end of my contract at Brazen, this is where it gets good for me. I was working at Brazen, and I think one Wednesday, and I still remember this, I think on a Wednesday, or sometime, I don't know, and then like a week before, I was contacted by Naughty Dog, and they were going to invite me to do like either a junior position job or an internship. I can't remember. But then, I don't know if I responded yet, but these companies know. They know when someone else, and I'll explain why. It's really strange. Naughty Dog contacted me when I was at Brazen. I was at the end of my contract at Brazen. It was a 1-month short contract at Brazen. I made like some animation, like some loop cycles, basically, just like the characters, some idle loops, they're standing still or whatever, shoulder movements. But while I was there, that was when that Wednesday, Pixar Animation Studios had sent me an email. And they said, we want to talk to you on Friday. Basically, that's all the email said. And I gave them a time and a date and set it up. I was very excited, very, very exhilarated. I didn't know what to expect. So I think I held off on Naughty Dog at that point. And then that Friday came, and I haven't told a lot of people this, but they called me on the phone. And I told people before, there's no interview. They said, we would like to offer you an intern position at Pixar Animation Studios. And I'm like, let's go. I had never traveled before after that point. I was ready to go. And there, from there on, my dad he had drove and I rode with him. Drove across country from Texas to California. Dude, I have hundreds of vlogs and videos that I have not uploaded. I'll put some of these up. I'll put some of them up. I went to the big crater in Arizona. I walked on top of it. He probably couldn't walk on that now because his eyesight is, and he stumbled over that. It's huge. But back then he was walking up there on it. But I walked around the crater. Maybe I'll find that video. At near the crater in Arizona. And, I really wanted to upload these vlogs after I got, bigger on YouTube. It never happened. And so I never edited those videos. The only videos I have of me out there on the West Coast was like, that I have uploaded was when me and the interns went to the Oakland Zoo. Maybe I'll put up a little clip of that here if I remember.
You sus.
I actually have a full vlog of that if you want to look at that. It's called just the Oakland Zoo. Me with the interns at Pixar. But yeah, drove out there, man. And they're based in Emeryville, which is East Bay, San Francisco Bay Area. I had always wanted to see San Francisco for so long. I don't know why. Maybe it's because, I watched a lot of Charmed over the years. I know like every episode of Charmed. But I had always wanted to see San Francisco Bay Area. It was beautiful, man. Like I said, I'll put some videos and pictures. Anyway, and then at the end of that internship, everyone was, was saying goodbye. I did not want to leave, man. I did not want to leave there. That was terrible. Coming back here was like the worst thing. But that was in summer of 2019. And you could walk everywhere, and like there was random concerts happening on my street. I live like one street over. I was in Berkeley. I lived like one street over from UC Berkeley at the time. Anyway, like I have lots of videos I can share. Let me know if anyone wants to see them. I just never edited them. I have hundreds. I also have lots of videos of Los Angeles, but on my phone. Cool. On bus. After that, I came back. I did another 2-week contract with Brazen. That's when I worked on I think, Pingu and Warwick characters from League of Legends. It was a trailer. I worked on the trailer. I might put that up. So, what happened after that? Well, the pandemic happened in 2020. And then jobs became bad. I'll leave it at that. I still hadn't fully, worked a full-time long-term job at that point, since everything was contract-based. November, December of 2021, I worked, overnight at Target. And then, like, December 15th, like I said, I got lucky. And I was contacted by a company called Deck 9 Games. They're based in Colorado, but I worked remotely. So I worked with Deck 9 Games on a game called, I worked as a junior animator on a game called The Expanse, a Telltale series based on The Expanse show, the sci-fi show. I worked there from December 2021 until May 2023. One day, there was, a company meeting that morning. I think it was like May 18th, May 19th, 2023. There was a company meeting, and they said they're going to have layoffs. They announced it, and then everyone had, just that look on their face, like, who's it going to be? I was hoping it wouldn't be me, but I was suspecting I would be one of them. And then immediately after that meeting, I'm not going to say, who or anything like that, but just the HR at the time, it called everyone in, it's 30 people, and said, you're all getting laid off. And immediately after that meeting, that's when, dude, literally, like, immediately after I signed off, like, login to the company was cut off. I had no access to the computer. It was crazy. And what's crazy is, like, it had nothing to do with skill, because one of the senior animators was one of my professors at ATech. He was laid off as well. Me and him were talking sometimes through the chat and everything. He was one of my animation professors at the 4-year university I went to at ATech. And he was laid off as well. And then, man, it was a crazy timing, because someone, in the family had died. And usually, I wouldn't go, I was so caught up in work. I'm like, when I work, people think, I basically become a workaholic, and I don't stop working. So this was time for me to just sort of sit back. I finally built up a little money, and I was feeling, well, I wasn't feeling the best, because, I guess I'll talk about that now, but like February 9th or February 7th, when I was working on Deck 9, with Deck 9, one day, but that's February 9th or February 7th of 2023, I stood up from the computer here, and I was dizzy. Felt like I'm rocking on a boat, and I still feel like that. I have it right now. You probably can't tell. Recently found out, a few months ago, that I have sleep apnea. It could be related to my sleep. Still haven't figured it out. All my money has gone to doctors. Another story. But, so yeah, like I'm always dizzy, feel like I'm rocking on a boat. Can't figure it out. But anyway, around that date, May 18th, May 19th, when I was laid off, the family where they're talking about, everyone's talking about going out to Los Angeles, because most of my family's out there in LA. And I hadn't been there since I was a kid, in like the late 90s, between 1998 or 2000, 2001, I can't remember, but that was the last time I had gone. But they were going out there mainly for a funeral, but it was also for vacation. I said, screw it. Like, I'm going. And let me tell you, I had recorded a video out there at the time. I think it was a YouTube short now. And I said, yes, there was a layoff at Deck 9. Stayed at a nice Airbnb. It was like some smart house. And obviously they had cameras everywhere. But it was a nice B&B in Inglewood, California, man. Let me tell you, being near the beach in those nice areas, it just felt so good. When I was out there, and I told doctors this, but my dizziness actually reduced when I was out there. I'll put up some pictures here, maybe. Just, pictures of me. Videos and pictures. I was on the beach. Went to the Griffith Observatory for the first time. It was packed with people. get a view from up here. Let me get a view. It's through there. Yeah. Get a shot from up here. Some more shots.
It's pretty at night too. You know what I mean? Yeah, y'all can laugh right on. I am. Where is this
Oh, wait, I want to take some pictures real quick. Recording with both cameras. Downtown LA. Look at this. Look at this.
Sorry.
I don't care what the hell anyone says, man. Like, California's beautiful. San Francisco, Bay Area, Los Angeles. Those places are amazing compared to southern states. I'm going to tell you that right now. I don't care what anyone, you know, you're going to have haters out there. It's unfortunate that the cost of living is so high and that they're homeless. There's homelessness everywhere. Like, when I was in San Francisco Bay Area, there's homeless people on every street to the point where you almost get to know them. Literally, every street there's a homeless person. But at the same time, there's so much beautiful scenery, greenery, like the ocean. You can walk over there to the ocean. Where I live at now, like there's nothing to do. Sort of sucks. Middle of nowhere, nothing to do, just flat land everywhere. I don't know why so many people want to move here. It's insane to me. And everything's far away. That's the other thing. San Francisco Bay Area, you know, Chicago, New York City, those places have public transportation and just things to do, activities to do in general. Like, you don't have that here. Like, everything's far away. Right now, my car's not working. It started working 4 weeks ago, so I don't have transportation. The only transportation I have is Uber, which is expensive right now. But yeah, man, when I was out there in LA, I felt better. But yeah, since that May 2023, I have not found a job since then. And yes, I've been, you know, I did go into unemployment after after a year or two. Someone finally said you should go into unemployment. I got unemployment, but I told them I mainly wanted to continue searching for animation jobs since I wasted 10 years going to school for animation. You know, I didn't really want to go back to working in retail or anything like that, but eventually money got low and jobs are getting worse, and I had to start, you know, searching for local jobs here again. That's what I was doing recently until my car stopped working. Searching for delivery jobs, retail jobs, or whatever. So, but yeah, let me get into something else here. But yeah, so before my whole Dizziness situation had started, I was exercising every day. I don't know if you can see this. This is a 20-pound weight vest. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a weight vest that I put on. Turn around. It's called the Harbinger. Well, that was the front side, but this is the back. 20-pound weight vest, and I wanted to show that I was doing 100 to 200. Okay, I'm back. The battery overheated, let it cool down, got a snack. Anyway, as I was saying, I was using that 20-pound weight vest. I was exercising every day. I was doing 5-finger push-ups, hand push-ups, fist push-ups, 2-finger push-ups. So 100 to 200 push-ups every day, 100 to 200 squats every day, 100 to 200 sit-ups every day. Just to disprove that nonsense One Punch Man thing. But no, but even before that, before I had the weight vest, so back in 2006, 2007, when I was going to that big school, and even before, yeah, it was before I was going to the big, it was a mixture of both. But anyway, I was a huge fan of Vegeta and Bruce Lee when I was a kid. Those were like huge inspirations to me. Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z, and then Bruce Lee. So at one point, I even wrote that list down. I was doing, like, I was in my room. There's like a little walking machine. It was broken. I would walk on that little step machine like 2 hours and 30 minutes. This was all in one setting. I had no clue what I was doing. I didn't have any training in anything. And I've always wanted to do like martial arts, but I never had any training because of the school that I went to in terms of like track and field. So I was doing my own thing in my room. I was, I was doing like 500 stomach crunches, 500 push-ups, 500 sit-ups. After I got off the walking machine, I was doing the squats too. And then the walking machine sort of had like metal steel bars on. I would punch the bar like 1,000 times, 10,000 with each arm. I didn't know what I was doing. I know I was doing 500 kicks with each leg. But yeah, I was just doing whatever because I was a huge fan of Bruce Lee, not knowing what I was doing back then. But yeah, I was, again, I'm active. I'm a naturally fast runner. Again, I'll put these videos up if I remember here. And man, like, and I was exercising I was doing the push-ups, sit-ups, and the squats every day with a 20-pound weight vest for like 5 or 6 years. And so yeah, I could easily drop and do, if I wanted to, 50, 60, 70, 100 push-ups. It's just sort of in me. But when the dizziness started back in February 2023, I couldn't do anything anymore. It's just like any type of movement or exercise, it would make my dizziness worse. And yeah, I've had my heart checked out. I've been to so many doctors. But anyway, and I don't know if it's the impact of the job situation. But again, I was working when it started, so I don't think it's that. But still trying to figure that out. But yeah, just more of a little background, like I was mainly a physically active person in general. Even before I went into like animation or anything like that. So just putting that out there. So I think it was around 2019, like late 2019. I'm not entirely sure. I think it was when I started really recording gameplay for my channel, BikoTheAnimator. It was either late 2019 or 2020 when the pandemic started. So I was mainly recording Star Wars Battlefront 2, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and Need for Speed Heat. And then I was buying games and recording them from there. Like, maybe I'll show a little video just going down my playlist here on my original channel, because a lot of people on my DunamisOphisGameplay channel don't even realize that I had the original channel, but I mentioned that multiple times. So what happened with the channel BikoTheAnimator? Well, that channel is where a lot of my animations at. The main video, the featured video on that page, is what I did when I was at Pixar as an intern. That's sort of a demo reel of sort of the class-based, animation I did there in 2019. That's the featured video on the homepage. So now that channel, I think last time I checked, it was over 30,000 subscribers. I have millions of views on it. It's useless. It's pointless. Why? Well, so at some point, oh yeah, I just thought of this. I can show you that in a second. At some point, okay, this is what I forgot to show. Check it out. So I have some autographs here. So yeah, I met Caity, Lotz, LeVar, Burton, and Brent. So you can go check that video out if you want to. It's the Dallas Fan Expo in 2022. Wasn't feeling the best at the time, but that was before my Dizziness. But anyway, I went, and go check it out if you want. There it is. So I met them, had a good time. I started uploading videos of the CW shows, the superhero shows like The Flash, DC's Legend of Tomorrow. Like, I look forward to watching those shows when I would come back from school, man. Come back from school, at one point come back from work, whatever, and I was super exhilarated, to watch those shows. I like those shows, man. I hate that they canceled them, but at one point I started uploading video clips of all those shows on CW. I was looking at Nancy Drew. I mean, all the shows. I haven't seen Arrow though, or Vampire Diaries, but I'm aware of them. And Supergirl, I never watched that. But in 2021, I tried to apply for monetization, the partnership for YouTube, and I was denied, and it said for reused content. Still don't really understand what that was at the time. I'm thinking it might be because I started uploading, like, the clips from the CW shows. So they consider the majority of my content copyright, even though the majority of my gameplay, majority of my channel was gameplay videos. Even without me, even if some games did have some music, but not really. Majority of that channel was gameplay and animation, like some of the animation that I've done over the years. And that BikoTheAnimator channel, that was the channel I would show people when I was still a student. Like a little squirrel animation that I did one time in Animation 1 class, and students used to talk about that. They used to come up to me and approach me, like, hey, I saw your squirrel animation. And then they saw it on the website too and things like that, and on YouTube. But yeah, so I tried to monetize in 2021. I was denied it. And then I was working on that, what was I working on at the time? I was working on my Elsa meets Aang animation. I never put that on YouTube, but it's out on Vimeo. I might put it up here a little bit, I'm not sure.
I need help. What am I gonna do? Who's there?
Hello? Anyone home?
Sorry. I'm the Avatar. Take me to whoever's in charge.
It's on my demo reel, but I was working on my Elsa meets Aang animation. Man, I was like 95% done. I was working on the lighting, and then computer just it fried up, died out, and so my computer was down for over a year. So at that point, but yeah, after that, that's when, you know, the Demon Slayer game was coming, and I said I'm going to make a channel, and that was DemonSlayerDunamisGameplay, and that was based on the Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles game, based on the Demon Slayer anime, manga, and then eventually I changed the name to DunamisOphisGameplay, just because I wanted to expand to other games. So that's how that started, you know, DunamisOphisGameplay, Demon Slayer DunamisGameplay. That's not my original channel. It was the BikoTheAnimator channel. And that's how I sort of switched over, because I wanted to monetize. And just to mention another thing here, you know, like I said, playing video games was a hobby. And I ended up turning, you know, one of my hobbies that I'm good at into some form of monetization or business. I don't recommend anyone do that at all. I would say keep your hobbies away from any sort of business idea, unless, you know, you're extremely good at it, confident, and it does bring lots of success. Like, if it doesn't bring lots of success, it's just like, man, it tires you out. Like, I can't even play, you know. And what started with the idea was like, man, I see all these other people, and I've been watching people all the years, like, they're making money, you know, playing video games. Like, what the heck? I've been playing games since the 90s, you know, like, where's my money at? And that's the way it just felt like. But then, like, with the whole, you know, quarantine thing in 2020, that's when I really took the time. I really started uploading lots of games more, and I was like, I'm going to make this happen, you know. And that's when it really kicked off for me, was when that, you know, pandemic started back then. And yeah, I really don't recommend turning a hobby into some form of monetization, or it's just, I can't even play games anymore without recording, if that makes sense. Like, you know, people, like, I play this weird game called Star Wars Battlefront 2. You probably have heard of it. And, you know, people talk trash in there. You know, it's a toxic game. And, you know, I talk about, oh, you spend all this time in this game, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you know, it sounds wasted, but hey, at least I'm trying to record. I'm trying to stream, trying to make money. Meanwhile, they're on the game, you know, cheating and talking trash and not really doing anything. That's just the way I view it at this point. But yeah, like, man, when I was a kid years ago, you just used to play it, you know, before all the social media, before smartphones and all the internet and everything. Before console games became online, that's when games were better, in my opinion. You know, if you didn't experience it, you may not understand what I'm talking about. But like I said, kids used to come over, eat pizza, chips, whatever, and like play games in person. There was no trash talking online. It was much better. But yeah, that's sort of, you know, what got me into, you know, uploading. Now, you could say, and I just thought about this, you could say, oh, you could upload, you know, animation videos. Now, I created a new channel called BTAnimator or BikoTheAnimator 2.0. I know it's a long name. I didn't know if I was going to go with BTAnimator or BikoTheAnimator 2.0. But unfortunately, I don't have access to the software, which is called Autodesk Maya. That's the standard software in the industry, animation, film, games. It's called Maya. So last time I really had access was when I had the student version, but I'm not a student anymore. I mean, I could sign up for classes for thousands of dollars right now, but, you know, people recommended that, you know, that I go do some masters, but it's just like, I don't even feel like it right now. So I don't know if I'll do masters anytime soon, but it will give me access to the software. It's either that or I could learn Blender. Blender's still not a main standard. Now, Unreal Engine, people are using to animate at some game companies and even film companies. But yeah, like I said, I don't have access to the software. I have been for years now. And when I was working at Deck 9, you know, I was using what they gave me, what they had. They had the updated versions. Software for Maya is expensive. Like all this 3D animation software is very expensive. There's yearly pay, but right now it's just expensive. So that's why, like I said, my new animation channel, BikoTheAnimator, BikoTheAnimator 2, like if you see on the banner, maybe I'll put up an image. I was going to do animation tutorials, you know, vlogs, things like that. But it just, you know, it just never came around to it because I don't have access to the software. So I pretty much stopped uploading on that channel. Like I was going to, man. I looked up options like creating, you know, some online animation 1 classes for students online, things like that. And also, I'm going to get to that in a second. But yeah, so next topic here. I really don't recommend any students go into animation right now. Yes, AI is taking over. When I was at, you know, aside from all the layoffs, you know, the rise of AI, you can see it out there. Now, I can look at videos and tell within 1 or 2 seconds what looks like AI, but most people can't tell. General public can't tell. But for me, it's very easy. Like the first clue really is the audio, the fake audio in most AI videos. But I don't recommend any students going to animation right now. I mean, if you do, good luck. Really, you don't even need to go to college or school for it. You can find everything online. There's so much information out there now. For animators specifically, you can do Animation Mentor. There's thousands of dollars, but that's like the online school that most people know about. I did Anim Squad, but mostly like iAnimate. That's another one. So you could take online animation classes. You don't really need to go to school for it. In fact, when I was at Pixar, like half of the people there are self-taught. So, and yeah, like some of the best artists that I've known in the industry so far, as in some of my classmates I had, they were self-taught or they found mentors somehow, you know, online. So those were the students, you know, in school who were drawing in the back of the classroom. They were always drawing. The teacher would tell them to stop drawing, or they would get in trouble. They continued drawing. Those are some of like the best artists right now. Those are the directors. You know, they didn't pay attention to those teachers. They just kept drawing. Those are some of the best artists that I met. Self-taught. You don't need to go to school for any of this. So I'm just throwing that out there. Like me, I'm very good at drawing. I don't know if I probably won't find these images. I'm not sure. Actually, I may have some of those on my phone. When I was in 11th grade, I was able to use color pencils. The first time using color pencils, I was able to directly copy like this. It was this amazing badass, like this 2D animated character. I don't know if it was from World of Warcraft or I can't remember. Some character that I copied. I'm very good at looking at something and then drawing it on paper. But I've always been a very slow artist, but that's sort of my thing. But part of that goes into me being able to do animation as well. Like I said, you know, it wasn't until my final year at Collin, the community college, that I decided to go into animation for movements. You know, like, you know, I'm an explosive, like, you know, fast guy. And combining that with my ability to, like I said, copy anything drawing wise, that sort of plays into me. That's why I chose becoming an animator. You know, for those that don't know, you have like in the pipeline, you have modeling, you know, which is sort of, you know, well, it's concept artists, storyboard artists, modeling, you know, and you get into the texturing and surfacing and all that. You have animators, lighters, effects artists, sound design artists. So like if you look at the end credits of any movie, any film, like you'll see all these different positions, right? So, but I specifically chose animation. My second best skill set was probably lighting and like effects. But yeah, like I said, I can do video editing. I can do sound design, like, you know. But those are some of my strongest points that I can do. But yeah, with AI, I mean, and now, you know, it's like around the time I got laid off, and then after, now all these, now they're incorporating AI into animation now. Literally, like if you look it up, there are senior AI animator positions. I've never heard of that before. So now there are AI tools that, you know, I'm pretty sure companies are using. I don't know any of those tools yet. I have to learn them. So it's like everything I had just learned in school is like, nah, you know, I have to learn the new stuff, but it's all AI now. It's disappointing. But I'll get into this next subject here about these students here. Okay, it's one thing I forgot to say. It's 3 a.m. now. So, but on my BikoTheAnimator channel, I did an animation. I think it's called August AnimChallenge 2020 animation. And there was like 1 month to do an animation challenge. And I'll upload that and I'll just sort of talk here. But yeah, so this is the animation that I did, and basically it was my most successful video on the channel at the time. I immediately, within like a week or two, got over 200,000 views. And that was before I started uploading, you know, any CW episodes, getting millions of views or anything like that. So that was the most successful video. And YouTube, this is before I never got monetized on the channel. But YouTube was receiving money because they put ads on my channel without my permission. So, and that was something new they were doing at the time, of course. They were putting ads on the smaller channels that didn't meet the requirements for a partnership. So I had no choice. Like, I was getting an ad, even though it was my original, you know, animation that I did. So I just wanted to throw that out there. In terms of that video in particular and what happened on the channel. All right. Okay. Yeah. So one of my, you know, assistants, Gail, she really helped me. When I first started animation in 2008, you know, going into the whole animation game design. Let me look it up. She invited me to come speak to her class, and I'm looking at it right now. I said like over a year ago. That's all it says. Yeah, October 23rd, 2024. That's when I uploaded. Wow. She invited me to come speak to her class. You can check it out. I look at the full video on... I have the full video on DunamisOphisGameplay and my other new channel that I was going to do. But I spoke to the class about my experience, you know, with animation and everything. So check it out if you want. But I know some of the video did get cut off. I didn't get to record all of it. But yeah, you know, I just talking to the students, and at one point, you know, I did mention something about, you know, like networking, right, and connections, and how like one of the students in my class is Jared. He had mentioned he did a presentation online for a class, and I randomly showed up to the presentation. He didn't know I'd be there. He was in my animation classes, but he didn't know I would be there, and I just showed up. And I also, there's a video of that as well if you want to, Jared Lasserin, if you want to look it up. He works at Disney now, but yeah. I had recommended him one time to apply to Nickelodeon. He mentioned that in the video, and he like thanked me for it. So, you know,
brought on to help wrap the show. Once the movie was complete, I put it on my resume and applied for about 50 or so animation and games jobs. I got a few callbacks, but the one that caught my eye was Nickelodeon. So I interviewed with them, got a call back, moved out to LA, and started rigging at Nickelodeon. About 6 months into Nickelodeon, I applied to Disney Animation character teaching training program. I think Biko, you're here, right? Biko's act. I think Biko was the one who sent me that. He's like, "Hey, you should apply to this," and I did. Yeah, so I thank Biko for landing that job. But yeah, interviewed with Disney, got a call back, and then I started training in early 2020. About 2 months into training, I was promoted to apprentice, and worked on my first Disney film, Raya. After Raya wrapped, I was promoted to character DD, and I've worked on 2 more films since.
After that, that's when he went to Walt Disney Animation Studios, and he went to work as a technical artist, rigging. If you know what rigging is, that's another part of the pipeline. But yeah, he went into that, and I went out to networking events and stuff like that. I applied for organization called Industry Giants, or a bunch of short guys. If you're in the area here, you know what I'm talking about. So I volunteered for those events over the years. I've gone to those events. In fact, in 2024, you can check it out. Maybe I'll put up another image of it. They moved Industry Giants when they returned back after the pandemic, the chaos in 2020. They finally returned in 2024, and they decided to do it at the college that I went to, A-Tech. So I actually did a whole vlog on that. You can check it out if you want to. I did a whole vlog on that. But I will be linking that to the DunamisOphisGameplay, since BikoTheAnimator was never monetized, like I said. But yeah, I mean, I've done lots of networking over the years, like one of my most inspirational professors, Jay Shu. You probably heard of him if you're in the area. He would he would say, practice, 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 research, 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 network, network, network. That's what he tells all the students. I took his class back around 2012. Could have been 2013. But, and he's the one who inspired me to go out to those networking events and things like that. So, I mean, connections, they help, but they're not guaranteed. It seems like right now you have to be like freaking best friends with someone's family member to like get hired somewhere. But like I said, when Brazen first contacted me, I think they found me through LinkedIn. Honestly, most jobs I've gotten, I don't know, people have contacted me randomly, or it was out of luck. I've never gotten a job at a place that I applied to, like outside of the one time I worked at Target. And that's just how it works in the industry. I don't know. These jobs are that's just the way it is. Kind of ridiculous, absurd, but that's how it is, man. But yeah, like I said, connections help. It's always good to have connections. They're not guaranteed, and not everyone actually wants to help. Like I said, I recommended Jared apply to Nickelodeon, led him to Disney. He thanked me for it. I recommended senior animator guy. He worked on like the Gravity film and Transformers. He's an animator, worked at Brazen Animation. I talked to him. He told me he wanted to work at a college as a professor. I talked to the head dean at the college that I went to, and I recommended. I literally walked to Eric, and I recommended him. I told him about the animator that I met at Brazen. Now he's a professor at the college, and he thanked me for getting his dream job. So it's like I've helped other people get some pretty big jobs, which is good. Not complaining about that, but it's just like nothing's ever happened for me in terms of networking, and like nothing's like, no one's come out of nowhere and be like, oh, I'm gonna recommend you to this place and you get hired, blah 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 blah. Now Gail, though, my assistant, after I did my presentation, and in the video you can hear it, she did recommend that she would like me to become the new adjunct professor at the community college. It's now a full college now. And, teach like some animation classes. Because she wanted me to take over. Because she was getting ready to leave and retire. I guess my mindset was, well, for one, I sort of want to get more experience in the industry. I want to work on big films and movies and games before I go into any sort of teaching. And like, two, I was thinking, secondly, it's like, will I be able to stand up here for hours and talk in front of students and teach them, like, with the whole dizziness problem that I have? So I didn't, you know, I did contact the guy, added him on LinkedIn, but the main guy you told me to talk to, but I didn't fully, like, I never sent like a full application for it. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's still there. I think they're still looking for someone. But yeah, it's like, man, I really, you know, I want to work on, like I said, the Marvel films, DC, Godzilla, King Kong, like all the live action VFX stuff. And you can see it in some of my animations. I've done some live action student projects with like a parasite running through a building. Maybe I'll put that up. That's an animation that I did. That was running through the first floor of the school that I went to, A-Tech. So I went to work on all those big films. And I remember one time, me and a group of students went to see Avengers Infinity War at the movie theater. And, you know, me and Jordan were talking, man, we're going to be working on that. Me and him were talking about, me and him were going to work on the next big Marvel film. And he's working at, he's been working at id Software. Now he's like a senior lighter there now. So he's been working at id Software all these years. A company that made Quake. So they're not too far from here. I know where they are. But, and I applied there. I've applied there before, I think. So, but yeah, man, I want to work on those films and those companies. That's another thing. Be willing to travel if you're in the industry, especially if you're in the United States. You know, if you're in America, be willing to travel. Most of those companies are in Canada. You know, Vancouver, Montreal, London is big. New Zealand, Lord of the Rings, Weta Digital. Yeah, you still have places in Los Angeles and San Francisco, but they just, most of the jobs went overseas, and they're giving the jobs to third party, you know, employees overseas. You know, there's India and everything. So it's crazy. Also, on the topic of traveling, I just want to mention one thing. I've never been on a plane before. I've never been outside of the country, unfortunately. So, I think back around 2021, I was almost offered to work at a company called Icon Creative Studio. Some of you may know it. They're based up in Vancouver. And they almost offered me to, you know, work on some Disney Junior shows. But I was talking to HR on the phone, and, you know, most of my questions were about traveling there and living there. So they were looking for someone to be on a plane, you know, within a week or two. And I just wasn't prepared at the time. So that's the other thing about traveling. Like I said, be prepared to like travel anywhere, because again, most of the jobs are pretty much outside of the U.S., America. So one of my former classmates, he's like a senior animator there now. And I talked to him on the phone before he was a senior animator there. I talked to him on the phone at the time, was asking him how it was up there in Vancouver and that Icon Creative and things like that. He gave me some tips and things like that, but they moved on and never went through because, you know, I wasn't ready to travel. I never been on a plane or anything like that. So just throwing that out there. But yeah, and speaking on that, it's like I said, there's all these 1,000 employees at Epic Games. For people who don't know, I remember this was back in March 2025. Technicolor laid off. I mean, they shut down. Technicolor was shut down. That is one of the biggest film companies in the history of film. They shut down. Over 10,000 employees were laid off. And, you know, there's, you know, subsidiary companies, NPC, The Mill Film, wow, Micros Animation, you know, stop motion. So a lot of jobs, and a lot of them were like in India, if I'm not mistaken. So they got shut down. And if you don't know Technicolor, any major big blockbuster film, movie that you've seen, they probably worked on it. They're on it. Look at the film credits. You'll see Technicolor. You'll see NPC. NPC worked on Sonic the Hedgehog, you know. movies. I really like Sonic the Hedgehog. This is my favorite game movie, that and the Mario. I haven't seen the new Mario, the second one. I don't know if I'm going to. One of my former classmates, Lucy, she got to work on the first Mario film. I was like, dang. That would have been cool to work on, man. The first Mario 3D animated film. But yeah, she got to work on that at Illumination, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so all these layoffs across all these companies are going on. Things are insane. I mean, yeah, so that's just the way it is. I mean, things are just crazy right now, man. Just trying to think of any other thing, anything else I can say. I mean, I am going to move on to the last little sort of thoughts that I have to say. But yeah, like I said, I recorded networking events. You can look at those videos if you want to. So yeah. Okay, camera's getting low. So final thoughts here on Epic Games. And a lot of people won't like this, and some people might like it. So, Unreal Tournament, for me specifically, Unreal Tournament 2004 is the greatest game that Epic Games has ever created. This is before the kids' game Fortnite came along. For those who don't know, Unreal Tournament is like a sci-fi, outer space sort of first-person shooter game. It's part of those generation of games that started first-person shooters. Wolfenstein, Doom, Quake, and Unreal Tournament. Those four games changed a lot. Changed everything. I've been playing games since the original Mario on Nintendo. Unreal Tournament 2004 is on my top 3 video game list of all time. It's probably my favorite game of all time. I haven't played a game that's more adventurous. It's the most skilled, most competitive, most fast-paced, most exhilarating, and most adventurous first-person shooter of all time. In my opinion. For me, Quake would be second. I didn't really get into Quake, but you know, Unreal Tournament, they have there's a dodge mechanic. I'll leave it at that. I'll let you figure that out. And there's so many different abilities and mechanics and mods that you can do in the game that really no other game has. So I have it right here. Maybe I'll put some images up. But yeah, so actually the first game, which I didn't know, is called Unreal, released in 1998. That's not the one that really kicked off. The one that kicked off is Unreal Tournament in 1999. And then you had Unreal Tournament, there's like a list here. And you had Unreal Tournament 2003. You know, there's Unreal Championship games. And seeing at one point, Unreal Tournament Game of the Year edition. It was Game of the Year 2000. It was a special edition. But yeah, and for me, 2004 is my favorite, it's the best. Then there was Unreal Tournament 3, and that's when things started to go downhill for the fan base. I did a playthrough of Unreal Tournament 3 if you want to watch that. I did a playthrough last year on my channel. DunamisOphisGameplay. Now, in 2014, they were making a new game. It was Unreal Tournament 4. That's what it was going to be, but it was still in the pre-alpha stage. So if you look it up, look up Unreal Tournament pre-alpha. It's still pre-alpha. And it was going to be partially a community-based game. So the community, they were a part of making some designs in the game, some environments, you know, doing some of the mods. And it started in 2014, and everyone was excited for it. And it was the beginning of Unreal Engine 4, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Unreal Engine 4, you know, for UT4. I could be wrong, but I think it's Unreal Engine 4. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if I can find it here, but around like 2018, yeah, I don't know if I can find it right now. Around 2018, Epic Games decided to abandon Unreal Tournament to work on Fortnite. They put everything into Fortnite. They scratched the game and do Unreal Tournament. Unreal Tournament fans were disappointed. And I think they abandoned some other games too, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember the name. I think there's some other games that they abandoned. Epic Games have some pretty big games. There's Gears of War. That's the other big one. But I think Infinity Blade, people said that they had abandoned. I'm not sure which other ones. Basically, those are rocket racing. Basically, they abandoned lots of good games, legendary games that made them who they are to focus on Fortnite. I didn't like that. For me, man, Unreal Tournament is it. Like, I still record videos of Unreal Tournament. Mainly the pre-alpha UT4 and Unreal Tournament 2004. If you look on my featured video, look at my featured video. Maybe I'll put up a screenshot on my homepage with DunamisOphisGameplay, and you will see Unreal Tournament 2004. I got like 100, 200 something kills against CPU bots. Check that out if you want to. But yeah, Unreal Tournament, had vehicle mode, capture the flag, deathmatch mode, bombing run, and thousands of mods and environment levels and maps, so adventurous. I wish they really, and they were basing the new game on UT99, Unreal Tournament 1999. I think they should have based it on 2004. 2004 is superior to me, but I know the hardcore fans disagree. It is what it is, but again, I played the demo of 99 when I was a kid, in middle school. Other than that, I got into 2004 and that was it, man. Especially you have vehicles and everything and translocators and Translocator. I made a video about that. Sombra and Overwatch. It's another game. Sombra and Overwatch. She has Translocator. That was stolen from Unreal Tournament. Translocators in Unreal Tournament. I made a video about that. Yeah, all these new games to me, like I said, I play Star Wars Battlefront 2. All these new games to me, I never played Call of Duty. I haven't played Fortnite. These games are all slow-paced and lack skill to me. And I know a lot of people are going to hate that. But you won't understand until you play Unreal Tournament or Quake or those type of games that are really fast-paced. I play Star Wars Battlefront 2. People think I cheat. I don't. People say I cheat in the chat, and my response is no. I'm an Unreal Tournament 2004 player. They don't understand what that means. They don't comprehend. And usually they think, and they'll start laughing, LOL, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you're playing tournaments, blah, 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 blah. They're getting confused. They think I'm saying Star Wars Battlefront tournament. No, they're wrong. I'm talking about Unreal Tournament, the game. And it's very disappointing and unfortunate that, a lot of kids today, most of them, all they know is Call of Duty, Fortnite, and all these games, and Overwatch, all these slow-paced, heavily team-based games. It's unfortunate. They grew up with those games and no one knows Unreal Tournament anymore because Epic Games, it's killed off the series. They really want to get rid of it to focus on Fortnite. And games like Quake, are dying out. Those are the arena-style first-person shooters. In my opinion, that Unreal Tournament is a game that made Epic Games who they are. I'm telling you right now. They couldn't have done it without Unreal Tournament, and they tried to abandon it. I wish I could be, director on, new Unreal Tournament game and make it, the best first-person shooter ever. I'm telling you. But, that's just, that's the game for me, man. And, so yeah, I mean, that's how it is. I mean, like I said, I don't care about Fortnite. I know that Ninja guy or whatever got famous for Fortnite. They were advertising him everywhere. The average Unreal Tournament player will destroy Ninja in Unreal Tournament. I'm going to tell you that right now. The average, not even good players, average, even below average players will probably destroy Ninja and all those guys, those Fortnite players, even the Overwatch players. If people don't know, Skaven and Demon 1, there's usernames. They play Valorant, if I'm not mistaken. They have one of the top teams in Valorant from what I heard. Skaven is the best player in Unreal Tournament 2004. So he got a skill from Unreal Tournament. I got my skills, you know, that I use in Star Wars Battlefront from Unreal Tournament. People think I cheat. And again, side note, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is one of the most toxic, poisonous games I've ever played. You know, online. It's, you know, which is ironic because it's actually one of the most slow-paced, unbalanced, heavily team-based, just sort of sluggish games I ever played, and it's also like filled with cheaters right now. So, you know, it's a third-person shooter primarily, but people think it's a lightsaber game. But if you look it up, it's not even considered a lightsaber game. Like, you know, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, and those type of games. So, just a little side note there. Like, you know, I mainly use the blasters, you know, the shooting gun, because I'm an Unreal Tournament player. I play lightsaber sometimes when I want to, whatever. But yeah, and it's just like, if games were still fast-paced and competitive like Unreal Tournament, they wouldn't be saying those, they wouldn't be talking trash or saying bad comments in the game. Because there wouldn't be any time or room for that. Let me put it that way. Like most players today who grew up on Call of Duty and Fortnite and Overwatch and all these games, they're not gonna last 2 seconds in Unreal Tournament. They won't last 2 seconds, or even Quake. They won't last. I give it like 1 minute and they're just gonna completely rage quit those games. They will not last. But games are not like that anymore. In my opinion, the best era of games was the early, I'll say late 1980s to like 2004, 2005. 2004 you had Unreal Tournament 2004, Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. For me, that's like the best anime fighting game. Like, from there on, it died out, especially when online games for consoles started. When online came to consoles, for me, it seems like games went downhill. And I saw the growth of games in terms of the, you know, the modeling, the texture, and the lighting, the animation, like the actual design and everything. It used to go from like square blocky characters to everything just looks like insane now. But then it got around to like, once it got to like PS3 and PS4, it sort of stopped. So I feel like for any kids who grew up with PS3 and later, they didn't see the gradual changes, even with like social media. You know, they grew up with smartphones in their hands and like good graphics on the video games already. And it's just like, I feel like they missed out on it all. And then the fact that people used to play outside more too back then. That's all I have to say about Epic Games and Fortnite. And I just wish they would get back to Unreal Tournament, to get, you know, their roots. I don't plan on playing Fortnite. So, yeah. Okay, so, what's next? Well, this past year, you know, I've been researching. Dude, at one point I was thinking about starting my own car detailing business or something. I've applied to car detailing places actually. I actually walked in place to I walked to a car detailing car wash place, and the manager was there. They're just about to get off work. I've been going in person, but he said, hey, you come on Saturday, you can work. It didn't happen, but so yeah, I've just been going into random places and applying. There's one girl, she was working at JCPenney, and I was looking at a photography job online. I don't know, this is 2024 maybe. I think I recorded it, I'm not sure, but walked into JCPenney. She was about to get off her shift. I think she was the only one working there, and she, you know, I talked to her, gave her my resume, paper resume, and I don't know, it sounded like she really wanted to, you know, she would like to have me. Then she asked me, you know, how I am with kids and things like that, and I was just sort of like, you know, working around kids with like the camera and things like that. So I sort of held off on that one a bit. But the point is with that, it's like, for me, it's just better to go in person. That's the way things used to be. Like, each time I go in person, I usually have a better chance. Like, when I was at the unemployment place, the main guy talking, you know, had everyone sit in like it's like a seminar class. And he literally admitted to everyone that there is AI software out there automatically rejecting resumes. So if you're not aware, you know, there's the AI software automatically rejecting resumes if it doesn't line up to what the company's looking for. There are ghost jobs out there, fake jobs. So, I mean, that's just how things are right now, and it sucks. But yeah, so I've been looking at detailing jobs. I've been researching trades jobs. Recently, this past week, researching pipe fitting. Before that, I was looking at electricians. But honestly, for something quicker starting out, so I'm hoping to at least find a part-time job again right now. For those who don't know, again, I recorded a video, a vlog of this, but my vehicle stopped working, a Genesis Coupe. I actually started a car channel. I was going to start recording videos with my car. I have POV drives. Most of my POV drives are still on my BikoTheAnimator channel. I never transferred them to the new channel. But yeah, car stopped working approximately 4 weeks ago. I'm still dealing with that. So I have no transportation. And it's not a walkable area like San Francisco, Chicago, or New York City. But so that's a problem right now, along with everything else and the dizziness and everything. So yeah, but anyway, brought that up because I was thinking about getting a CDL. Never thought about it before. Didn't think I'd ever be doing that in my life. But it's an option that I've been thinking about. CDL license, for those who don't know, commercial driver's license, I think. Where you can drive trucks, right? Semi-trucks, diesel trucks. And I don't know, like recently I found this girl's channel. Her name is Slime Pack. I think Slime Pack 392, a black girl. I found her channel, started watching her videos, just getting a sense of how it is. But yeah, right now my plan is I'm hoping to find a part-time job somewhere, and I say part-time because I'm going to need other days for like doctors and dentists and things like that. Save up money, get dental work done, hopefully figure out some medical, problems. And then I want to save up and take CDL classes. Probably, I looked it up, I mean, expensive, like $4,000 something, but that would be if I did it at the community college. Everywhere else is like extremely far away right now. So that's the only closest thing I think of. But at the school I went to at Collin, they do have CDL classes, which I never knew. Thinking about doing CDL classes and going from there. Hopefully get some money going. Maybe someday I might get into the pipe fitting, or I don't know, man. I want something that'll get me back to a comfortable place mentally, like with money and everything. Start going to the gym, get back into running fast again. Like I said, I'm a naturally fast runner, as you can see, but man, I always wanted to like run in track and field, be a running back in football or something, like make it to the Olympics. And do martial arts. That's what I wanted to do when I was a kid. Besides, watching Twister in the 90s over and over, and I wanted to become a meteorologist. And that was like my job thing. But other than that, like, I just wanted to run, man. That's my natural skill. Went into animation, but that's my plan right now. I'm looking into trucking, into trades, just part-time jobs right now. Am I done with animation? No, but for right now, I need something to try to get some money. So, and YouTube's not enough. I mean, unless you started long ago and you're already big on YouTube, YouTube's not enough. Twitch, not enough. But yeah, like I said, I don't recommend any students go into animation right now. If you do, good luck. If you have any questions about it, you can ask me. About animation field, being an animator, anything like that. I'll answer questions about that, but I can't recommend it right now. I'm not going to lie to you. But that's just my thought on it, just as the industry as a whole right now, just sort of backstory of, what I went through. And again, I'm still searching for jobs. But I'm looking for more than animation jobs at this point, So if I do get hired, so again, if I do get hired at one of the big animation companies, that would be great. It'd be nice, amazing. I'll record that. And again, I don't know. Feels like I'm blacklisted. They do have a blacklist. I don't know if I'm blacklisted. I haven't broken any NDAs as far as I know. So that's just how it is. But yeah, I want to work at, like, for those who don't know, it's like one of the companies, Frame Store, D-Neck, Double Negative. Well, not NPC and all the other companies. They're closed, shut down. But you know, those are some of the companies like Luma Pictures. Like, there's still a lot of big ones going on. But yeah, those companies, they're mainly in other countries. Everyone says Hollywood and thinks everything's in Hollywood. It's nothing. All the film is done in Vancouver, Montreal, London, New Zealand, all these places. Like, all the big animation VFX companies and things like that. Now, a lot of the major 3D animation companies are still here, you know, Pixar, Disney, DreamWorks. I applied to DreamWorks last week, haven't heard back yet. Applied to Nickelodeon. I applied to Nintendo actually on March 31st and got my automatic rejection on April 4th. So that's what it is. Anyway, I'm done here. Yes, it's a long video. I'm on my second battery right now. I'm about to go watch this Descendants concert, Disney, whatever. I didn't even know they had it, but anyway. About to go eat dinner, watch TV. Probably not going to stream Star Wars tonight, but stay tuned for more on retirement videos with this news here so that people can really understand what they missed out on. Because they focus on Fortnite instead of focusing on retirement, and now they've laid off employees and, you know, terminally ill patients and who knows what else. It's bad right now. It's chaos. So, yes, AI is going to take over eventually, you know. You've all been warned in Terminator, iRobot, and all these movies. But, that's how it is right now. Like I said, if you're anything in technology or digital arts, I can't recommend it right now. That's why it's unfortunate, but I'm looking at other options. But if something opens up at one of the animation companies or film studios I've always wanted to work at, if something opens up, I will take it. Anyway, that's all I have. Subscribe if you're new. Thanks for watching. I'll see you.
Good thing we won't stand out. Wouldn't want to attract any unnecessary attention.
I need help. What am I gonna do? Who's there?
Hello? Anyone home?
Sorry. I'm the Avatar. Take me to whoever's in charge.
The OPA has a standing kill order for any soldier that was present on
Anderson Station.
I understand your anger.
Do you? You were at Anderson fucking Station! You were a soldier in the greatest massacre in the history of the belt, and you hid it from me! Gah! Give me one reason I shouldn't leave you here to fend for yourself!
You should. You need to help the rest of your crew, and I'm no use to you like this. Leave me.
I don't have time for this. But I don't think I can make it through this without you either. All that matters is getting through this attack. And I need my medic for that.
You could say, "Congratulations, Helen. How do you feel about this? Is this what you want?